the Business Finance Podcast, brought to you by the Best Finance Group. New episodes every Friday.
Hello and welcome to the Business Finance Podcast. He's Jack Seymour.
He's Phil Murphy.
Yeah, and today we're at Knoll Golf Club, and this is where we're going to have our golf day on May the 6th.
May the 6th, Tuesday, May the 6th.
Yeah, charity golf day, so get your names down if you're interested. You've got a big prize for a hole-in-one on a par 3.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can win £10,000 on one of the chosen par 3s.
Yeah.
And I think that's, one of many prizes. Well, it is going to be one of many prizes which can be won on the day.
Yeah.
And more importantly, it's for a charity, just less than a mile down the road, called Headlight, which is a mental health charity, and it's there to raise money for a outdoor sports pitch.
Oh, superb.
So it's going to be for a great cause, and already places are going fast. We only sent out the invites yesterday, so if you haven't received an invite, drop us a message.
Yeah, if you'd like to come along. Yeah. So we've already got 40 odd confirmed. So that's why we're here. We enjoyed filming on location last week, didn't we, at the Celtic Manor? So we thought we'd do it again today. So getting on to it, let's talk about what we've been working on this week.
Yeah.
Should we start with? I had an interesting one. Is an old factoring client of mine came back to me, and he's looking to get into the property business. So
right, okay.
He's looking to take the equity from his house and purchase some buy-to-lets, which he's got a contact at a local housing association that's looking to house people, and they desperately need houses. So he's looking at releasing some equity from his house to give him some deposits to put down on 2 properties. So we brought in Tom Lang, who's our property finance specialist. Tom's put together some quotes, so we think we can release about between £90,000 to £100,000 from his current house,
right?
Yeah, which would be the deposits for both. We get buy-to-let mortgages, which is 75% of the value, and these contracts they're valuable, aren't they? They're, normally between sort of 3 to 7 years if you get into a social housing or a council.
Yeah, and I've got a client like that. Funny you should say that, because it is almost guaranteed income.
Yeah.
And I've got a client who's got over 100 properties in and around Bristol.
Right.
And he all started with one, which he saved, and he's just snowballed and built it from there.
Yeah.
So your client will be is on the right path by the sounds of it.
Well, there's so much demand, so if you can get these 1 or 2 up and running, then perhaps improve the properties as well. Then again, the equity builds in those properties, and you're on the way then, aren't you? So I think a lot of business owners are interested in property or have some sort of interest in property. Another case study that we're dealing with, a client who's looking for his first acquisition.
Okay.
So he's a software engineer. He's been working for some big names over the last sort of 20, 30 years. He's at that age now where he's looking for additional income, but he wants to put his pension to work. So, self-invested pensions. He's got £250,000 in his pension, and he's looking to use that as perhaps a down payment for a business. And obviously, this is your field, this is your speciality. So he's been looking at this storage company, and I want to get your thoughts on this. So it's a storage company. There's 2 buildings. They own 2 buildings. So part of the deal is there's 2 buildings, about £600,000 for the buildings. Gross profit it's not great. It's about £70,000 a year. Yeah. So even at a multiple of 3 to 1, what's that? So £600,000 of property, it's £810,000. Now the asking price is 1.2 million. And the figures don't stack up, so that's why he came to us and said, look, I'm trying to make this work, but sometimes you just can't make it work, and the problem is business brokers have their role, but sometimes expectations can be a bit too high, can't they? So 1.2 million for them, where does that figure come from?
Yeah, and that's a great point. That's probably one of the benefits that we have here, that we have Alex in-house, who is our business broker, but he values a business and sets expectations on what a potential buyer could leverage in terms of finance to buy the business. So it's always sellable. Because I use the analogy as like a house. There's no point in an estate agent coming round, valuing your house, giving you a massive figure, putting it on the market, but it never sells because no one can ever buy it because they can't get a big enough mortgage. Yeah. Because the mortgage company says, well, the house isn't worth that. Yeah. And it's so similar with businesses. So that storage business that you've got there it really cries out for someone who's already in the industry and potentially wants to
Fold it in,
and grow market share, as opposed to your client who's coming new into the industry. They've got backing behind them, they've got financial money, which you said is coming from their pension, which is fantastic, but it's just that bridge too far, and they would probably be better off with a revenue-based business. So
something with assets, they can leverage the assets.
Yeah.
Like a engineering company or
brilliant.
Something like that.
Engineering, manufacturing, wholesale, transport, these kind of industries which allow asset-backed lending, which we specialise in, to really come into its own and leverage the finance to allow that business owner to take on the business at the most cost-effective manner.
Yeah.
And with
tax efficient manner as well.
Tax efficient and the least amount of risk, because there's always assets backed behind the borrowing.
Yeah. So it's interesting what we've done. So yeah, you do wonder sometimes why the valuation is so high. You're trying to win that client's business. You know, if you're a client, you're trying to sell this business you've built up for 20 years. He's saying it's worth 8. She's saying it's worth 9. He's saying it's worth 1.2. The chances are you're going to sign with them, but you're in a period where you're sort of stuck with them. It's been on the market for a year, so it hasn't done the owner any favours, because they want to move out and they've got other opportunities they want to pursue.
Yeah.
So what we've done, so we've said we don't think this is the right one for you. That's our opinion. So we've now introduced him to Alex, and what Alex does is he's going to look for businesses, because this gentleman wants to stay in his job, so he wants to be quite hands off.
Okay.
So he's looking for appropriate businesses that we may be able to buy with asset-based lending within an hour and a half of his house.
Lovely.
So Alex will do all the market research and put some options together for him.
Beautiful.
So, and then there'll be a fee, you know, once he purchases a business, then there'll be the fee. But
that's only upon success.
That's only upon success. So that's there's two interesting one, a property one and an acquisition one. So.
Yeah, and they are really interesting actually, because there's a value up to the client that we've added, and all being well, we can find that business which a client will be happy with, be successful with, and ultimately end up in a better position than they would have been in.
Yeah, it's going to save a lot of time. He was already spent a lot of time on that opportunity, and just the figures didn't stack up.
Yeah.
So
great.
So you were saying, you've had some.
I've had a busy week as well, and there's a couple. One, obviously, as you know, we're a whole of market brokerage, aren't we? So we've got access to the high street banks all the way down to very boutique lenders, and we're continually looking to onboard new lenders, and ensure that our lending panel is the best it can possibly be. So we onboarded a new lender, and they're backed by UK Export Finance. So anybody out there, if you're listening, they're import and export, this is one for you.
Yeah.
UK Export Finance have given the lender £70 million to lend to UK SME businesses under £10 million. So fantastic. What an opportunity. They've got 4 products: revolving credit, term loan, export loan, and the fourth and final, which is FX, so foreign exchange. All of these are, as I say, backed by UK Export Finance, up to 80% guarantee from the government.
Brilliant. And
they are at preferential rates as well. So it's a huge opportunity for many business owners to access finance.
Yeah.
But the criteria is you've got to be trading a minimum of 2 years.
Yeah.
And you've got to have a minimum of 5% of your overall turnover has to be export.
Okay.
So if that's the case, get in touch, because we can help. So that was a really interesting call.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
With that lender. So that gives us another string to our bow.
Yeah, and it's always good with revolving credit, because, I mean, we've got quite a few options, but it's always good to have an extra option for revolving credit facilities, because they're really, really popular and they're really good, really useful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we said in a previous video, you said it's an in case of need product.
Yeah.
And that's a fantastic way, I would say, of describing the product, is it's there as you need it, as required. And why wouldn't you have that?
Do you know, because what I find a lot when I speak to business owners, sometimes when they have to plug that gap, it's in a rush, and it's never good to be in a rush. You need money quickly. You know, you end up getting whatever you can because you need money in a couple of days, and you just end up really getting expensive. Sometimes you can get really expensive loans, and it's expensive money. So it's all about having something like that, planning short-term finance, long-term finance, I think it's really important.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, as you rightfully said there, that a business owner has to make quick decisions. But that's where a role of a broker really comes into its own, because yes, we understand that there is timescales on this funding, but don't worry, we've got the options. We've been here many times before, and we won't allow you to make the wrong decision, because we're comparing the market for you and saving you that time, and therefore saving you that money as well. So it's imperative that wherever the squeezes and the pressures come from those business owners, because in business it's uncertain. You can grow, and then it can retract as well. But actually, when you are feeling that squeeze, or you do want to take on that business growth, that you get the decision right and make sure that you're covering the bases and using a broker to be able to do that for you.
Sometimes it's just one late payment. A big payment that's due in is a couple of days late, which then becomes 10 days late, and then all of a sudden, you know, everyone's on the edge. You know, a lot of people are on the edge, aren't they?
It's a catalyst. I had a lady who manufactures vinyls, as in vinyl records.
We talked about that last week, didn't we?
And her bad debts, and as you said, we spoke about it last week, and you know, just to re-emphasise that she took £15,000 of bad debts. She was only turning over less than $250,000. We had to stop that happening, and actually give her that degree of flexibility and cash flow. So, but that can go all the way through. I've got a floristry wholesaler on the south coast of the UK. If you're watching, hello. And their margins, they've got to be so careful about them all the time. And automation, we automated the process. So yeah, there's a lot to think about there, and a lot that can be covered. But
you did, before you forget, you did say there was a really interesting one you spoke to me about on the way over, about the asset finance. So I want to get that in, because we haven't spoke about much about asset finance.
So just a quick one on that. Asset finance is a concrete pump, fantastic, beautiful bit of kit, and it got brought over from Germany. There's a few quirks with it. It was an import. The client wanted a VAT deferral. They wanted it over a 5-year term with a 10% deposit, or as minimal as possible. We accessed that. I went up and did an asset inspection yesterday on the vehicle.
You had all the high vis on and all that, did you?
I had the high vis. I was there. I was ready. And what a bit of kit these concrete pumps are. They're absolutely massive.
Are they?
And but it will pay out today, and the clients literally called me this morning. They're at the dealer and they're ready to drive it away. So huge success story. So if you are looking for asset finance, whether it be a van, a digger, all the way through to the largest asset you can think of, we've got you covered.
Give us a try. Brilliant. Okay, but I think that's enough for this week. So thank you very much for joining us, Jack. Thank you. We shall see you next week. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. It gives us a boost, doesn't it? We do like every single like and subscribe. We appreciate. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us. If you have any commercial finance requirements, please contact us at thebestgroup.co.uk.